Hey, 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 everybody! Welcome to Steven Universe Revisit. It's your girl, Pandora, Trans Panda, and this is Alex.
Hello, everyone.
And this is Season 1, Episode 31, Cape Beach City Weird. I
This is going to be an interesting
This is going to
one.
be an interesting one. I think we're going to get through the synopsis fast, though, because it's kind of not that much, honestly. But the episode starts with Steven and the Crystal Gems kind of playing a game called Steven Tag, where the ones that can shapeshift tag each other to be the Steven that isn't. It's just a game of tag, but everyone pretends to be Steven. Um, uh, they may.
Pearl can shapeshift, but she chooses not to for reasons we cannot talk about at this point in time.
Indeed. And then smashes Amethyst into the ground and says Garnet wins because she plays Street Fighter and or Mortal Kombat at the same time. She probably can. That's also spoilers. Anyway, as Steven walks off the beach and Ronaldo, who is the character that we have passively been seeing in episodes over the last season, that I still think is just two seasons slammed into one, is in camo saying that this is restricted area or stuff like that to Steven, where this is like his house's front lawn basically, so no. So Steven joins Ronaldo to in the locked off area or whatever, which is not locked off, and Ronaldo explains to Steven that he's looking at anomalies and weird things in the in all of Beach City. And yes, but as they then proceed to go through the town, and it's very obvious that these are all things that the Crystal Gems did, even though Steven doesn't know at first. But like they go the roses from Rose's Moss, they go the crystal thing from the red eye that they blew up. It's
Debris from the Red Eye
debris from
is
the
in
red
the
eye.
town.
Yeah, it's all references to past episodes to show the continuity of the season proceeding and moving forward and showing that the crystal gems are the things that are so weird. There was one single yes, Petey is covering Ronaldo because he's clearly just supposed to be at his job. We're not going to comment on that any farther than that, other than we like Petey, and it's probably a good.
Yeah, Petey's good.
Yeah,
He's the only member of the family that I actually
it's
like.
probably also good that PD ran in to confirm this, because it also, to any kid watching who didn't pay attention to Ronaldo, it's to remind them, oh, these characters are related. Ronaldo is one of the Fry guys, which sounds like a video game now that I say that out loud. But regardless, there's a shot where it looks like he's using high tech technology, advanced technology to look at something. There's like a red dot in the middle, and it took me a couple seconds to realize it is literally just a red marble in a pan with things painted on. So I'll admit it. They got this lady. They got this victim of Junko. They got me. And then they end in the I don't know if this is a joke of like right under his nose, but Ronaldo shows Steven his headquarters, which is the lighthouse directly above the crystal temple that the crystal gems live at, trying to track all the weird things, but he cannot. He keeps missing the obvious, and he reveals to Steven. That the government is controlled by snake people,
Oh
or
boy.
Sneeple, or Snonsters, or whatever the heck this loser starts talking about. I don't care. Listen, Rebecca Sugar is Jewish. She's probably like what, like she's has the validity of being able to mock this thing, but the lizard people controlling the government thing is a. I even struggle to call it a conspiracy theorist at this point, because it feels more like a dog whistle to see if you recognize being anti-Semitic. Has a complicated history. It is constantly referenced in media, despite the fact that it is. I think the idea is that we're mocking such a ridiculous conspiracy theorist, but all it does is make it more popular, and it's clearly not gone away because it's it's a dog whistle for they're not actually saying lizard people, they're saying Jewish people. Like that's what it always is. And mocking the lizard people thing doesn't actually do anything. It just proves that you don't hear the dog whistle. You know?
Yeah.
So here's that's strike one to Ronaldo because he keeps going off on what is basically a unabashed anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist level, and he keeps saying that Sneeple are everywhere and stuff like that. He mentioned
Also, sometime during the anti-Semitic tirade, there's a little shot of a forum,
an anime
and
forum.
there's an anime forum, and there's a little note in there, or a little post by an anon that was written by a writer on this show that says the L sound does not exist in Chinese. Now, I'm Asian, so I can comment on this. The L sound does, in fact, exist in Chinese. What this is a reference to is the fact that the R sound does not exist in Japanese. But I don't know if the person writing this was Asian. That is not an appropriate joke to make.
I'm actually looking right now to the people who wrote and
My
storyboarded.
little brother, growing up, when he was learning language for the first time, he had difficulty pronouncing the R sound, presumably because we are of Asian descent. Me and my older brother had an inappropriate reaction, and we both laughed very hard at him. I don't think that made him feel very good. So, I don't think I should have done that. I think that was actually a very messed up thing of me to do. We were all kids, but that was still a messed up thing for me to do.
Oh, jeez. I was so busy looking through the people who wrote and storyboard that I don't feel like fully comprehended what you said, but I'll listen to this in the background.
Basically, the R sound is
Oh, yeah.
not really a thing that exists in a lot of Asian languages, and when my little brother was learning English for the first time, or learning how to speak, he had difficulty pronouncing the R sound. Me and my older brother laughed very hard at him, and looking back on it, I don't think that was an appropriate response.
Ah, yes, I see.
It definitely comes off as racist. I mean, if it was someone who wasn't Asian, it would definitely be racist. But the reasons we were laughing at him
was more rude child bullying on your end.
Yeah, but the root of it is systemic racism.
That is a good point, and
ingrained racism.
Yeah.
Yes, Velvet.
Something that Ronaldo probably doesn't experience, or I don't personally know. They could be part Asian. It's hard to tell. Is all I'm going to say for the writers and storyboarders of this episode.
He and Petey and his dad, they all look white. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt unless an Asian person comes out and says they worked on the show.
That's fair. To keep this, I don't know if we have anything more on that because it is like a simple point, right there. Like it is exactly what you would expect to see on an anime forum board in the mid 2010s, but also you got to be careful on what you joke about in these things. There was another comment there, which is a more sly nod, where it was talking about that the quote-unquote koala princess that they were debating, that apparently snake people, quote-unquote, were ruining the anime forum boards, was the show was unwatchable ever since they changed the designs, which is a slight nod to the fact that Steven Universe had very different designs before the animated series came out. And I didn't notice that at first because it is also exactly what I would expect to see out of an anime forum board in the mid 2010s. God, anime forum boards suck so bad.
They do.
They do. Let's talk about a man who sucks. Mostly. But yeah, we go through all...
Back to Ronaldo.
So after his anti-Semitic tirade, Steven goes back to the gems, that saying that they need to prepare or lock the doors from snake people or Snaple, and they very quickly just brush off every piece of evidence they had as something they just did. And Pearl said this very, very fast, and it was a bit hard to. I couldn't write it all down, but Pearl goes to talk about how humanity does have a consistent issue where they want like one big enemy to be against and fight against, because they can't comprehend that the systems in place are like large and hard to comprehend and possibly immovable for the average person, and that we most of their problems stem from the complicated forces of those said problems, which is correct in the grand scheme of things. That a lot of the
It is a perfect microcosmic explanation of why capitalism is bad, because you end up blaming individuals instead of the invisible systems that exist that put pressure on these individuals to act in the way that they do.
yeah.
Whenever you work for a business, they want a very specific result. They want money. So human beings will always act in their best self-interest, i.e., accruing money to survive. Therefore, if you see someone who is behaving in a way that does not make sense, it is a result of these violent systems.
Yeah, and I'm a visible system. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a very smart statement coming out of this episode, and obviously this episode is saying a lot about conspiracy theorists and the like. But then that leads to Stephen. I I honestly didn't follow why he decided to go about it, but he sees Ronaldo basically break after he's informed that all of this was just the crystal gems doing it, and there isn't really anything more complicated than that. And Steven wants to help cheer him up, so he decides to re-engage in the conspiracy theory that snake people are real. So he dons like a snake person costume and pretends to be a snake person around Ronaldo, which could be a fatal mistake for anyone else, as we see that Ronaldo immediately breaks down and like knocks Steven out with a potato in like 2 seconds after seeing that. Uh, Steven wakes up in the lighthouse where Ronaldo is with like a sweating, anxious Petey, and he's about to like try to expose snake people to the world or something. I like analyze their biology or whatever the heck, which panics Steven for many obvious reasons due to the kidnapping and the nonsense that is coming out of uh, Ronaldo's mouth, when the crystal gems bust in and just kind of mop the floor with Ronaldo, which wouldn't be that hard when you look at his hair. Very similar to a mop. Wouldn't you say, Alex?
Oh, wow. It's a French fry motif, but it does look like a
It looks
mop.
like a mop.
Also, Ronaldo is a dangerous weirdo.
Ronaldo just like fully like the most extreme level of where like a conspiracy theorist can go, where he is just a danger to basically everyone around him when he fully believes it. And it's kind of it's sort of implied multiple points in this episode that it probably would have been better if Ronaldo's like thing was just shattered and he just went about his life like a normal human being instead of believing in conspiracy theorists. But they kind of let him live with it, and after like one last time where it seems he's gonna break down again, it reignites and he starts spouting out like more conspiracy theories about like uh what was it, polymorphic sentient rock creatures, was that what he said? Let me double
Yeah.
check. Okay, they don't say it on the wiki, but he says something like that. Where he's clearly like spouting out nonsense to the in regards to the crystal gems, uh, and their current background history. And that it ends on him shouting about it, saying that you can read it on his blog, which is an actual blog, as we've discussed before. I don't know which one was the original episode. Like, where the blog was clearly started, but we're clearly not looking at the blog as the show goes on, which makes me wonder if we should be actually when I say that out loud. Or,
Well, the thing's dead.
oh, is it deleted?
No, I said it's dead.
Oh, okay.
It's, we don't need to really think about it.
Okay, I guess that's perfectly fair. Uh, should we get into the fact that, and I don't think that this is like a strong thing. When you have a conspiracy theorist in a cartoon, when they start spouting things that are close enough, 90% of the time they are most likely correct. Right, Alex? Like, we both know how this is
Yeah.
structured. So when Ronaldo
Yeah.
is screaming about, like, rock people coming to hollow out the earth and there's a great diamond authority, I don't think I need to sugarcoat it. We already know that that's being hinted at.
Pretty much.
So Ronaldo, obviously he doesn't go into details, but he's in enlightening his allure to the need. It is a need for him to be important, and we show as he breaks down that, like, he says to P that, like, don't you understand, something's finally important happening to me. And that is the crux of Ronaldo's character, is all these conspiracy theorists and stuff like this is a self-fulfilling selfish desire in order to be important on some level, which is commentary on the very nature of conspiracy theorists who make nonsense, garbly freaking conspiracy theorists too, is that they want and need that attention or something of the nature. This is something that we kind of keep away from, like with a 10-foot pole. I don't like talking about conspiracy theorists. I don't like thinking
Yeah, me
about
too.
conspiracy theorists. I don't like being in the vicinity of conspiracy theorists. Like recently, everyone's forgotten at this point, but people were talking about like how Trump, the ex president of the United States. I like how I said ex president, like they got divorced. They should have, but regardless, um,
Hmm.
the ex president of the United States, Donald Trump, was shot at one of his rallies due to a complicated system of the Americans radicalizing teenagers to be gun violent and all that stuff. Uh, but
By the way, he is a part of that
he is
problem. Donald
absolutely a
Trump
part.
represents the political part of America that incentivizes vulnerable, mentally ill white teenagers to become shooters. He is an instigator of these problems.
He's
I am
absolutely,
not
and
going to sugarcoat it.
yeah, and
The leopard is eating. I never thought the leopards would come for my face, said woman who voted for the leopards eating for her eating her face
which
party.
is funny because he's such a symbol of the leopard eating face party that, like, it's like the leopard conversely like did a 5-dimensional twist in on itself and attempted to start eating its own face. But
Yep.
besides the point, what I'm getting at is that people started talking about that, like, so you believe that Trump staged his own assassinations, right? And when we saw that, we were like, hey, I don't know about that one. That's weird. We and like, I didn't outright say no, but I also went like, I don't think so. I would need to see actual evidence. Not to mention these people are so bad at actually hiding anything they do, which is clearly morally reprehensible. There there is no reason to hide it for them. And lo and behold, like we said, it was a teenager who had been radicalized in a white supremacist society into performing an action to make himself important. Wow, actually, that is what. Getting very, very, very dark this episode, but it is.
Well, Ronaldo is a very dark character.
Yeah, it really is.
He almost commits murder in this episode. I think he is the only human character who has attempted to murder Steven throughout the entire show. That might be considered a spoiler, but I don't think that's much of a spoiler considering the population of Beach City.
Not to
Ronaldo
mention.
is not only a danger to himself, he is a danger to other people.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, a character like this can be entertaining, but the problem is Ronaldo doesn't have a foil in the show proper that he can bounce his wackiness off of. All it is just Ronaldo the wacky conspiracy theorist who basically clashes against normal people, which isn't a comedic energy that you want to have. There is a way to present this material that makes it fun and entertaining and also doesn't take away from it. But the problem with Steven Universe is that Ronaldo, he fundamentally does not belong in a series like this, a series that does not know how to work with him.
And I will say that a lot of series don't know how to handle the conspiracy theorist character well. I find the character almost always in these kinds of stories are aggravating. It's not just Steven Universe. I think that this is a loaded character trope in general, and the
Well,
major
yeah, it's also used to dunk on mentally ill people.
that too as well. Oh, we were talking about the whole Trump thing, and the thing about
Yeah.
conspiracy theorists, the thing about conspiracy theories is 50% of them are anti-Semitic, and the other 50% are, oh no, the government straight up admitted they did this, and that nobody can do anything about it. Like every country that the USA has toppled for its own gain. It's usually in
Pretty
those two
much.
categories, and the problem with these things is that the character that these series always joke about is the first half. I can never remember former or latter. I apologize, but it's always joking on the anti-Semitic one. It's always like the hollow Earth theory, or the flat Earth theory, or the snake people, the lizard people theory, or some other people theory that doesn't make any sense, but it's just supposed to be a dog whistle. So far right weirdos like get attracted to your space and like start believing things you say or something. It's they're either treated too lightly, or like Ronaldo here, they're surprisingly given actual validity as a threat to everyone around them, but they're also deeply disturbing and unnerving to watch as a result, or something like that.
It's funny because, and I'm gonna just spoil this. Later on, there's an episode in the series where Ronaldo pretends to be a crystal gem. Steven has some choice words for him. And the thing is, by that point in the series, there was a lot of very vocal fan dissatisfaction towards Steven Universe. And this came way too late. It seems as though the Crewniverse was trying to course correct for all the chuds that had came into the show liking it because all the very progressive minded people were vocalizing dissatisfaction. It's a very thinly veiled angry response towards the audience that was pretending to like the show, but only using it to like antagonize the queer people that the showrunners were trying to appeal to. Ronaldo has always been that character, but it's also depressing because he's only that character. By that point in the show, he just devolves further into a caricature of the show's fan base that it grew to dislike over time for its stagnant attitude.
He he becomes a self-insert in the way that he is purely representative of someone else more so than he is his own conscious character is what
Ronaldo never had a fall from grace, but he never had a chance to begin with. I think he is a character. He is the one character in this show who was doomed from conception.
and that is quite the, we could say, damning critique here, right? That's,
Yeah.
I think we could say that. But yeah, it's this has Ronaldo's a heck of a character, and I think we said most of our thoughts on him in this episode, but it's I don't
When
know.
we get to the episode, when we get to that episode that I mentioned, it will probably be at the point where I'm talking more about the crew's behavior and we can get into it then.
That's true.
But I will reiterate this for the record. Please do not go after the crew. They were under a bunch of pressure from the network. There was a lot of circumstance surrounding Steven Universe and network politics that made the show implode as it did. Leave those people alone. However, you should not excuse the bad behavior that was present from the staff during the time that the show was active, because no amount of network politique and whatever was going on with their show can excuse the unprofessionalism that was on display during that era of the show.
It was a mess. That is all I recall of it. It was a mess. Much like Ronaldo's life, it is a big mess.
Ronaldo was a mistake.
These fries are bad. Put him back in the oven.
All right, we better call it here.
Oven. Like the fryers. What am I talking about? I think I'm losing and I'm a little loopy.
Yeah, Pandora, look at the time. We better call it here.
Yeah, so this was quite the episode, but stay tuned for the next episode of Steven Universe, which will hopefully not be as loaded as this one. This one will be interesting. It will be Fusion Cuisine. So stay tuned for that one, because I'm actually excited about that one.
This one was kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, it kind of is, but that's how dealing with Ronaldo usually is. So somebody take those boys' glasses off. We gotta stop him from being able to read. Not that it stopped him in the first place. Anyway, I'm Trans Panda. You can find our Tumblr and Twitter at Trans Panda Art. There's a link in the description.
Hi, I'm Alex. The Patreon will be linked below in case you want to financially support.
And that's today's episode. Thank you for existing, everyone. Pandora signing out.
Good. I'm sorry. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
If I could begin to be half of what you think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you.